It's me, Jimmy Emerson. I'm here today with two marvelous young men who are going to enlighten us up on so much that's going on politically right now. Not just in the gay community, I know that's our forte, but all over the world and all over the U.S. And both of you have been on my show before. This man to my right is Mr. Rob Schlegel. And we've known, we talked about this last like 30 years. We go back.
Something like that.
Something like a long, long
Who's
time
counting?
ago. And Rob has been a huge supporter of the Las Vegas gay community, the entire state, the entire nation. Frankly, you still produce a magazine
Sporadically.
which has been very around a long time. Spectrum,
Correct. Las Vegas Spectrum.
Las Vegas Spectrum. You guys still have a website, right? So we'll put it up.
Yes, we do have a website, but
We'll put it up on our
it's
board.
not really active that much. But we do the voter guide, which is on the Spectrum website during every election.
That voters guide thing has helped me over the years so many times, because every time we get together, I say the same thing. If you're not quite sure, because you usually know who you want for governor or for president or for whatever, but the other offices that affect all of those positions, like judge for this district and judge for that district and congressman this, you may not have the information. Rob and his magazine and his people post a voter's guide every time there's a vote. So we're going into the midterm soon.
So that voter's guide is always on. That's the more important website.
Okay.
Is on WWDBTV.com. And every time we do a voter's guide, you'll always find a link to WWDBTV.com on whatsup.vegas.
What's up, Vegas? And this beautiful man here on the end is Andre Wade. You were with us before. Welcome back. It's good to see you. And I'm just going to welcome them because they're the people that know. I kind of know, and I promote the stuff that I like because it's my show. I can do whatever I want. But I like smart people like you guys coming on. So Rob, start us off. Tell us, where do we stand right now with what's happened in just the last few days?
Well, mostly there's a lot of fear because the unknown, we're always afraid of the unknown. And there are going to be some terrible things happening on a national scene. The cuts to the USAID program or USAID program, that is going to, that's reverberating all across the country and around the world. I was listening earlier today, there's like 72,000 jobs in 4 different states that have been lost to date.
Wow.
Because of USAID, because they have contractors that work for that program. But what really hurts me is that you're talking about AIDS prevention programs and programs for people that have HIV, and it keeps them from dying, to be honest. And we all know people that are HIV positive, and if they take their meds, they have a life expectancy that's just as long as you or I, and maybe longer in some cases, because they actually go and see the doctor more regularly than some of their peers
And not
do.
to make light of that didn't happen for a long, long time. It's finally here. Has been for a little while.
Sure, but we finally were successful, and like all through Africa, for instance,
Right.
they have these prevention programs, or people that are HIV positive are on on HIV drugs, and those drugs have stopped. And so when those drugs stop, those people basically get a death sentence. And I mean, how devastating would that be to, you get HIV, you think it's going to kill you, you get the drug, and you're on suddenly you have light at the end of the tunnel, you're going to live. And now somebody pulls the drug away, and you've got millions of people that are not only going to die if they don't find other means to get the drugs, and currently there are no other means, but they're also going to develop odd forms of HIV, and before you know it, you're going to have different variants of the HIV disease going worldwide, and we don't have the drugs to combat it. You're going to make the problem so much worse.
Right.
So that's what really.
So there's a possibility that in the near future that the funding for that drug that people on it are literally saving their lives won't be funded.
Correct.
That's
right.
See, that's scary stuff.
So it's happening right now. The drugs have already stopped.
Yeah.
So it's something that's going on right now. And like I said, you asked me what the political climate is. It's the fear of the unknown, and we don't know what's going to happen in the trans community. Last time we were on the show, we talked about diversity, equality, and inclusion, which is DEI. And since then, I've seen breakdowns of what are the DEI categories, what kind of jobs have those provided. Well, the top number of jobs in the diversity, equality, and inclusion category have gone to women. The second one is to veterans. So we are hurting jobs for women. We're hurting veterans. And you're talking about, if you have 1,000 job applicants, and you have 1,000 job applicants for 100 job openings, you have 1,000 qualified job applicants, equally qualified, and you want to make those jobs. You want to award those jobs to people that make up the same demographics of the community. You have 100 jobs to award. You don't want to give 100 jobs to 100 white men. You want to give the jobs to.
I thought we dealt with that years ago, that white man thing, that the DEI was, if I'm wrong, correct me, please, was developed just to make sure there was equal hiring opportunities.
That's exactly what it did.
Okay.
And now it's gone.
Well, I think so. Now, in addition to that, thousands and thousands of federal workers are being laid off or just plain out fired, including the FAA and so many. They claim they're cleaning house and trying to save what's it called, DOGE, government efficiency. But then they look around and they fire somebody willy-nilly and they realize, oh, we made a mistake. And now they're trying to find those people.
Oh, we need that air traffic
controller. That's what pisses me
But
off.
we need that nuclear scientist to protect our environment from the contamination from the old nuclear power plants and stuff like that. But so I'll help you shift a little bit.
Thank you.
But that's national, and doesn't get talked about as much is state. And Andre is the man for all of everything state of Nevada legislative. Protect us there and get things done correctly and do things better. And so I'll shut up and let's listen to Andre.
Well, I appreciate that, Rob. Essentially just taking, notes from your lead from all over the years. And so, here in Nevada,
he means I'm old.
much older than I am. Much older than I am. Here in Nevada, we're taking a look at what's happening nationally as well. People are concerned about passport issues for transgender folks who have X markers. And so right now, if you have a passport and you have an X marker, your passport, depending on when you got it, is good for another, 5, 3, 2, however many years, you're fine. It's the issue when it's time to renew. And hopefully by the time you have to renew, things will be a little different. But if you do have to renew, then it's going to be challenging to submit for an X marker for your gender.
Not to interrupt you, can you explain exactly what an X marker is?
So we spent a lot of time in the equality movement to allow on passports and certain federal identification to have for gender a marker of male or female for gender, or X if you are transgender and don't want to identify as either male or female. And
so that's where the X
comes from. And we have it in certain states with driver's license. And so that X marker is going to go away. So if your passport is valid right now, you don't have to worry, but it's when you have to reapply. Yeah. Or if you're looking to apply now, we suggest that you don't ask for X marker because it's just going to be a whole lot of complications and get denied. And so these are the kind of issues that we're trying to get a handle of and handle on, and so we can get information out to the community. But for more information, people can go to ACLU.org, the National ACLU website. They are trying to give information about passports and track people who are having issues with applying for passports.
Well, that's good to know. Mine's not due for a couple more years, but so if you've had passport for years and you renew is it 10 years or 8 years?
10.
And nothing's changed, you literally just renew it, right?
Yep.
So But if I was to start transitioning, that would be different?
That would be different.
Okay.
Because
So,
they're asking.
or I could just not mention it and still have a passport.
Correct. But you have to make sure that your name matches the gender that you are marking on the form.
Right.
And they are asking for documentation that is closer to your date of birth as it relates to your gender.
Oh, is that how that works?
That's how that works.
Okay.
And so they're trying to do what they can to see what was your gender assigned at birth in these situations.
Wow. They do the math. Huh?
They try to do the math.
Yeah. Well, people like me in their 40s don't have to worry about. Shut up.
Jimmy, they'll give you a passport just to get rid of you. Come on.
I know you're right. I think they have. Okay. Well, gosh, there's so much going on just in Las Vegas, and we do have the midterms coming up. I mentioned that earlier. You'll have a voter's guide for that.
Of course, we'll have a
Who are we
voter's
leaning
guide.
toward? Kind of tell us now, if you can.
Well, I don't know who we're going to be leaning towards, but I'll tell you, it will be the Democratic candidate, and if we have a Republican race that's tight, we'll probably give you a Republican suggestion for the primary. But in the general, it just because of how they vote, we're going to end up endorsing mostly Democrats.
Right.
And that is just a fact of life. It's not that we're partisan per se. It's just that when the Republican Party platform it used to always be anti-gay, anti-same gender marriage. Now they don't really have a platform to speak of. But the Democratic platform has always been, at least in the last 10 years or so, it has always been very pro-gay, LGBTQ.
Right.
It has been, pro-gender equality. And the Democratic Party, has fallen down on some messaging issues and stuff like that over the years. And they kind of blew it on messaging in this last election. There's no doubt, because they didn't win. But when it comes down to issues that are important, not just to our community, but to every community, whether your interests are about racial equality, if your interests are about women's equality, if your interests are about choice, the right to an abortion, if your interests are about a living wage, health care, usually the Democrats fall on the side of what we're interested in. Although I must say, I would encourage the Democrats to be a little more aggressive, a little more out there, get rid of the filibuster rule, because when the Democrats ever have a chance to get a majority again in the Senate, they probably aren't going to have a 60 person majority. There's always going to be a couple of conservative Democrats that aren't going to vote with the party
way we want to. And everybody, it's time for everyone, especially the Democrats, to wake up. They hate that word.
Wake up, and when you have a chance to get something done, God damn it, go do it.
Get it done, because this isn't going to fix itself. It's going to be person by person, whether you're gay, straight, green, blue, black, purple, I don't care.
We do have a legislative session that's happening right now in Nevada. So the folks that we voted into office last election are now doing the work here in the state. And so if people want to be engaged on like what's happening in the legislative session, you can check out Silver State Equality. We have our list of priority bills and bills that we're tracking on our website that are LGBTQ plus specific or inclusive. And so we're going to be monitoring how these Democrats and Republicans vote on our issues coming up.
Well, that sounds good. Listen, guys, thanks for coming on and kind of clarifying for us that I'm busy doing other stuff, but you can't put the TV on now, and you got to pay attention. And I'm like, wow, I'm totally depressed some days because of some of the things, like just what recently happened. I'm like, why is that happening? I'm afraid that I, as a gay married man, might be forced to leave or arrested just for being who I am. I've heard stories of that. Maybe that's just too much, but I think you better be prepared for anything.
Well, it's a funny story. I went to somebody's house last night, and it was a heterosexual couple. God love them. We have to have them.
Gotta have them.
One was the former big shot in Nancy Pelosi's office, chief of staff, sorry. And another woman is in the insurance industry, and wonderful people, but they're like, oh, we might sell our house and move to Costa Rica.
Right.
But it's like, you know, I'm a real estate agent. You're gonna sell your house. For God's sakes, let me sell your house. It funds all the things I do, and maybe I'll throw a couple bucks to Silver State Equality's way. But the thing is, I don't want them to sell their house and move out of the country, because stay and fight. Stay and fight. Don't leave.
Like your life depends on it, because it does. I love that. Thank you.
And I see my back in the peanut gallery, behind the camera, I see my friend Lynn over there. And so let me just say, Jimmy, to your comment about turning the TV on and getting all this bad news and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, turn your TV on and go to the YouTube channel and go to What's Up.Vegas.
You are the best. How do you say it? What's up? Vegas.
Now she owes me $5 for that little plug.
There you go. Listen, Rob and Wade, Andre, I'm thrilled to have you come back anytime, especially if something like drastic happens.
Absolutely.
We film every 2 to 3 weeks. So, just get in touch. And I'm going to be having an event soon coming up, which I'll be mentioning, but I'm going to tell you right now. I'm starting a new show over at the Hamburger Mary's here over on 1700 East Flamingo. It's been there for a while. And Hamburger Mary's is known for drag shows. And they have had lots of drag brunches. So they came to me and said, would you be interested in doing a drag stand-up comedy show where I host it in drag and we highlight stand-up comics, whether they're gay or straight, doesn't matter. And I said, well, we did that once over at the Alexis Park, and it went over pretty well. Yeah. I think it's a perfect thing. Every Thursday, 8 o'clock, Hamburger Mary's. Y'all are invited as my guests.
Thank you.
Come on, we'll get everything rolling in the right direction. I want to thank Rob and Andre for being here today, and we're going to move on, and we'll see you guys soon.
See you later.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.